The morning shift on Kepler Station started like any other. Captain Han Tae walked through the narrow corridors, checking the daily reports on his tablet. The coffee in his metal cup was still hot, and outside the thick windows, the blue and purple clouds of the terminus expanse swirled in eternal silence. 47 people called this small research station home. It was not much to look at. 3 connected modules floating in space, far from any major human colony. But the work they did here mattered. Below them, on the barren moon, ancient alien ruins waited to reveal their secrets. Dr. Kang Yuna had been working in those ruins for 6 months. Today, she practically ran into the command center, her eyes bright with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, pulling up images on the main screen. Han Tae set down his coffee and studied the pictures. They showed a circular device buried deep in the alien structure. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing with a faint green light. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "A quantum relay," Yuna said. "Still functional after thousands of years. Do you understand what this means? We could communicate across entire galaxies instantly. No delay. No waiting for signals to travel through space." Han Tae whistled low. "That is big. Very big." "We need to tell Earth Command immediately," Yuna said. Before Han Tae could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Lieutenant Park Dae's voice came over the speakers. "Captain, to the bridge! Multiple ships approaching, fast!" Han Tae ran. His boots hit the metal floor hard as he raced to the command center. Park Dae stood at the sensor station, his face tense. 12 ships, Park Dae said. "They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Moving toward us." "Identify them," Han Tae ordered. Engineer Choi Hana worked at her console, fingers flying over the controls. "Vratok design. Definitely Vratok." Han Tae felt his stomach tighten. The Vratok were not friendly. They looked like massive insects, with hard shells and too many legs. They claimed this entire sector of space as their territory, even though no one lived here. "Open a channel," Han Tae said. "Let us try talking first." The main screen flickered. A Vratok appeared, its triangular head filling the view. Mandibles clicked as it spoke, and the computer translated its words. "Human vessel. You are in Vratok space. This is illegal. Surrender your station now." Han Tae kept his voice calm and steady. "This is Captain Han Tae of Kepler Station. We are a scientific research outpost. We mean no harm. We can discuss this peacefully." "There is nothing to discuss. Surrender or die." The screen went black. "They are charging weapons," Hana said, her voice shaking slightly. "All 12 ships." "Battle stations," Han Tae ordered. "Everyone to defensive positions. Send a distress signal. All frequencies. Maximum power." The station shuddered as the first shots hit their shields. Park Dae ran to the armory, shouting orders to the 20 security personnel they had. It was not much. Kepler Station was built for research, not war. They had 2 defense turrets and some personal weapons. That was all. Hana's fingers never stopped moving. "Shields at 60%, 50%. Captain, we cannot take much more of this." Another impact rocked the station. Lights flickered. Someone screamed in the distance. "Return fire," Han Tae said. "Make them work for it." The defense turrets came to life, firing bright blue bolts at the approaching Vratok ships. They were too small to do real damage, but it was something. It showed they would not surrender without a fight. "Distress signal away," Hana reported. "But Captain, the nearest human outpost is 3 weeks away at maximum speed." 3 weeks. They did not have 3 hours. The Vratok ships spread out, surrounding the station. They fired again and again. One of the defense turrets exploded in a shower of metal and fire. Then the other. Now Kepler Station had no weapons at all. "Shields failing," Hana said. "They are gone." The Vratok changed tactics. Instead of destroying the station, large pods launched from their ships. they hit the outer hull with heavy thuds that echoed through the corridors. "Boarding pods," Park Day said over the radio. "They are coming inside. All personnel, arm yourselves. Fall back to the research center." Han Tai grabbed a rifle from the emergency locker. He had not fired a weapon in 5 years, but the training came back quickly. Around him, scientists and engineers picked up guns with shaking hands. These were not soldiers. They were researchers, technicians, and doctors. But today, they had to fight. The sound of cutting tools screeched through the hull. Metal groaned and tore. Then silence for a moment. A horrible, waiting silence. The outer doors exploded inward. Vratok warriors poured through, their bodies covered in thick armor. They moved on 6 legs, fast and terrible. Their weapons glowed with orange energy. "Fire!" Park Day shouted. The humans opened fire. Bullets sparked off Vratok armor. Some found gaps and soft spots. 2 Vratok fell, then 5 humans fell, then 3 more Vratok. The corridor filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. "Fall back," Han Tai ordered. "Everyone to the research center! Move!" They ran through the twisting corridors. Behind them, the Vratok advanced steadily. More and more of them came through the breached hull. Park Day and his security team covered the retreat, firing as they backed up. The research center was in the middle of the station, protected by reinforced walls meant to contain dangerous experiments. It was the strongest place they had. One by one, the crew made it through the heavy doors. Park Day and the last of his team sprinted through just as Vratok warriors rounded the corner. "Seal it!" Han Tai yelled. Hana slammed her hand on the controls. The massive doors ground shut. Locking bolts slid into place with solid clangs. Outside, they could hear the Vratok warriors throwing themselves against the barrier. Han Tai looked around the room. 47 people had started the day. Now he counted 39. 8 were gone, dead in the corridors or cut off in other parts of the station. Dr. Yuna was there, holding a medical kit and helping Dr. Nam Sora treat the wounded. Hana was already at a console trying to assess their situation. Park Day reloaded his rifle with practiced movements, though his hands had blood on them. "Status," Han Tai said. "We are trapped," Hana said simply. "They control everything except this section. Life support, food storage, most of our weapons, all in their hands." "How long can we hold here?" "The doors will hold for a while. But Captain, they have 12 ships. They can bring thousands of warriors if they want." Park Day checked his ammunition. "We have enough bullets for maybe 2 more fights. Then we are done." Through the thick walls, they heard a new sound. Heavy machinery being moved into position. The Vratok were not in a hurry. They had all the time in the world. Han Tai looked at his people. Scientists holding guns, engineers with fear in their eyes, civilians who signed up to study ancient ruins, not to fight and die in space. But they were still here, still breathing, still fighting. "Listen to me," Han Tai said, his voice carrying through the room. "Help is coming. I know 3 weeks seems impossible, but humans do not abandon their own. Never. We just need to hold out. We survive today, then tomorrow, then the day after. We survive until help arrives. Understood?" Around the room, heads nodded. Some people looked more hopeful. Others knew the captain was lying, that no help would come in time. But the lie gave them something to hold on to. Outside the doors, the sound of machinery grew louder. The siege had begun. The first day inside the research center felt like a week. The Vratok did not attack. They simply waited outside the sealed doors, letting the humans think about their situation. Captain Han Tae organized the survivors into groups. Dr. Nam Sora set up a medical area in one corner, treating the wounded as best she could with limited supplies. Corporal Lee Bin, Park Day's second-in-command, took stock of their weapons and ammunition. Engineer Choi Hana worked to keep the systems running. And technician Yang Jia sat in front of a half-broken communications console, trying to send another distress signal. "Anything?" Han Tai asked, bringing her a bottle of water. Gia shook her head without looking up. The Vratok are jamming everything. I can barely detect our own equipment, let alone broadcast to another star system. Keep trying. Captain, even if I get a message out, who will hear it in time? Han Tai had no answer for that. Across the room, Dr. Kang Yuna studied her tablet, reviewing the data from the quantum relay. She had downloaded everything before the attack started, at least. The device itself was still down in the ruins, probably in Vratok hands now. That is why they came, Yuna said quietly, though no one had asked. They detected the relay activation. They want it. Park Day walked over, checking the seals on the doors for the 10th time. Then they can dig it up themselves, after we are dead. Maybe we could bargain with it, someone suggested. A young researcher, barely 20 years old, her voice shaking. Give them the relay in exchange for our lives? No, Han Tai said firmly. We do not know what that technology can do in the wrong hands. We do not trade galactic security for ourselves. The young researcher looked down at her feet, ashamed, but she was just scared. They all were. On the second day, the Vratok made their move. The sound of heavy machinery grew louder outside the doors. Hana managed to tap into the external sensors, and what she saw made her face go pale. Plasma cutters, she said. Industrial grade, the kind used to cut through ship hulls. How long until they breach? Han Tai asked. Hana did some quick calculations. These doors are thick, maybe 40 hours, 50 if we are lucky. Park Day laughed, but there was no humor in it. 40 hours. Well, that is longer than I expected. The cutting began. The whole room could hear it, a high-pitched whine that never stopped, not even for a moment. It wormed into their heads, making it hard to think or sleep. Some people put cloth over their ears. It did not help much. Corporal Li Bin organized the defenders. 23 people could hold a weapon, though most had never been in combat before. He showed them how to set up firing positions, how to use cover, how to aim for the gaps in Vratok armor. We cannot win, Bin said honestly. But we can make them pay for every meter, every second. We make them remember that humans do not die easy. Dr. Sora ran out of medical supplies on the third day. 2 of the wounded were getting worse, infections spreading despite her efforts. She did what she could with improvised bandages and recycled water, but everyone knew it was not enough. The food situation was worse. They had emergency rations for maybe a week, eating carefully. Water could last longer if they recycled everything, but it would taste terrible. Han Tai rationed everything strictly. Everyone got the same amount, including himself. Some people complained quietly, but most understood. Fair was fair, especially when you might die together. On the 4th day, Technician Gia made a breakthrough. She was working late, or what passed for late when you could not see the sun when she found something. Captain, she called out, I found a bandwidth they are not jamming. It is narrow, very narrow, but it is there. Han Tai hurried over. Can you send a message? Maybe. It will be weak, and I do not know if anyone will hear it, but it is something. Do it. Send everything. Our position, our situation, the Vratok fleet composition, everything that might help. Gia worked through the night, crafting a compact distress signal. She included tactical data, hoping that if a human military ship received it, they would know what they faced. At dawn, or what they pretended was dawn by the station's clock, she broadcast it. The message flew out into space, invisible and silent, racing toward the stars. Done, Gia said. Now we hope someone is listening. Park Day stood watch near the doors, monitoring the Vratok progress. The plasma cutters had burned through 15 centimeters of the reinforced barrier. Only 30 centimeters left. They are taking their time, he reported to Han Tai, making it precise. They want to come through in an organized way, not a messy breach. Smart, Han Tai admitted. Keep watching. Tell me if anything changes. The fifth day brought a new problem. The air was getting stale. With life support systems in Vratok hands, only the backup circulation in the research center worked. It was designed for maybe 20 people, not 39. People started getting headaches. Some felt dizzy. Dr. Sora explained they had too much carbon dioxide building up. Hana tried to adjust the systems, but there was only so much she could do. We need to reduce our numbers, Hana said quietly to Han Tai, away from the others. Or reduce our activity. Have people sleep in shifts. Breathe slower. Breathe slower, Han Tai repeated. That is what we have come to. On the sixth day, the Vratok sent a message. It came through the station's internal communications, which they controlled. A translated voice, flat and emotionless. Humans, you cannot win. You have no hope. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Continue resisting, and we will make you suffer. Han Tai stared at the speaker for a long moment. Then he pressed the reply button. This is Captain Han Tai. We are humans. We do not surrender. Come and take this station if you can, but you will pay for it in blood. He cut the channel. Around the room, people looked at him with a mixture of fear and pride. They were trapped and dying, but they were not broken. Not yet. Dr. Yuna approached him later when the others were trying to sleep. Captain, I have an idea. It is dangerous, maybe stupid, but it might buy us time. Tell me. She explained her plan. The quantum relay was still active down in the ruins. If she could access it remotely through her saved data, she might be able to trigger an energy pulse, not a weapon exactly, but a burst of energy visible across multiple star systems. It will destroy the relay, Yuna said. Burn it out completely. The Vratok will get nothing, but the pulse might be seen by someone. Anyone. It is a bigger distress signal than anything Jia can broadcast. Do it, Han Tai said. We cannot let them have that technology anyway. Yuna worked through the night, writing code and running simulations. The calculations were complex, and one mistake could trigger a feedback loop that might destroy the entire moon. But they were dying anyway. What was one more risk? On the seventh day, the plasma cutters burned through 25 centimeters. Only 10 centimeters of door remained. Park Day estimated 12 more hours, maybe less. Corporal Bin checked weapons one last time. They had enough ammunition for one fight, one desperate final fight. After that, they would use whatever they could find, tools, metal bars, their bare hands if necessary. 8 hours left. Dr. Sora said goodbye to 2 patients who would not survive the coming battle. They died quietly, holding hands with friends. 6 hours left. Technician Jia sent one more message into the dark, though she had no hope anyone would hear it. 4 hours left. People wrote final messages to families they would never see again. Some cried, some prayed, some just sat in silence, accepting what was coming. 2 hours left. Dr. Yuna finished her program. She looked at Captain Han Tai. Ready? She said. Do it. Yuna pressed the button. Down on the moon, buried in ancient ruins, the quantum relay activated. Energy built up in its core, thousands of years of stored power releasing all at once. The relay glowed brighter and brighter, green light turning to white, white turning to something beyond light. Then it exploded. Not violently, more like a flower blooming. A pulse of energy erupted outward, expanding in all directions. It passed through rock and metal, through the station, through the Vratok ships. It did no damage, but every sensor in the system screamed with detection warnings. The pulse kept going, out into space, visible to anyone with the right equipment. It was like firing a flare in the dark, a beacon that said, something is happening here. The Vratok commander saw it from his flagship. He understood immediately that the humans had destroyed the very thing he came to take. Rage filled him. He ordered his warriors to stop cutting carefully and just breach the door. Kill all the humans. Make them suffer. 1 hour left. The cutting intensified. The whine became a roar. 30 minutes left. The door glowed red hot. Metal began to drip. 10 minutes left. Park Day ordered everyone to battle positions. Weapons ready. 5 minutes left. Han Tai stood at the front, rifle in hand, looking at his people. Scientists and engineers holding guns, ready to die fighting. 1 minute left. The door was almost through. Then Hana, still watching her jury-rigged sensors, saw something impossible. "Captain," she said, her voice strange. "The Vratok ships, they are moving." Moving. Repositioning, turning toward the edge of the system. They look nervous. Han Tai did not understand. Then, on the sensor display, space itself began to tear open, wormholes. Dozens of them. And through them came ships. Human ships. More than Han Tai had ever seen in one place. Someone whispered, "They came. They actually came." The cavalry had arrived. The breach came 30 seconds later. The reinforced door finally gave way, molten metal spraying inward. Vratok warriors poured through the gap, their weapons glowing orange in the smoke-filled room. "Fire!" Lieutenant Park Day shouted. The humans opened fire from behind overturned tables and equipment crates. Bullets filled the air. The first wave of Vratok stumbled and fell, their armor cracking under the concentrated fire. But more came behind them, always more. Captain Han Tai aimed carefully, squeezing the trigger in controlled bursts like they taught him years ago. A Vratok warrior fell, then another, but his rifle clicked empty too fast. He dropped behind cover to reload. Next to him, a young technician took a blast to the chest. She died instantly. No time to scream. "Fall back," Park Day ordered. "Back to the laboratory." They retreated deeper into the research center, firing as they went. The Vratok advanced slowly, using their numbers to push forward. Bodies littered the floor, both human and alien. Corporal Li Bin held a choke point, his rifle spitting fire. 3 Vratok tried to rush him. He killed 2 before the third's blade cut deep into his shoulder. He fell, blood spreading across the floor. Dr. Nam Sora dragged him back while others covered her. "Stay with me, Bin," she said, pressing cloth against the wound. But she had no supplies left, nothing to stop the bleeding. The survivors reached the inner laboratory, the final room. 17 people left now. 17 out of 47. Engineer Choi Hana sealed the door behind them, but it was not reinforced like the outer one. It would buy them minutes at most. Han Tai looked at his people, covered in blood and dust, exhausted, out of ammunition. This was the end. "It has been an honor," he said simply. Some nodded. Others were too tired to respond. They had fought well, died well. That would have to be enough. Then Dr. Kang Yuna spoke up, still staring at her tablet. "Captain, I need to show you something." "Kind of busy dying here, Doctor." "The quantum relay pulse. Before it destroyed itself, it sent data. Lots of data." She pulled up readings on the screen. "It traveled far, very far, and someone received it." "Jia's message?" Han Tai asked. Technician Yang Jia shook her head. She was monitoring a different console. "No, something else. Captain, I am picking up wormhole signatures in the system. Multiple ships just arrived." "Vratok reinforcements?" "I do not think so." Jia's hands shook as she worked the controls. "These signatures are different. These are... Captain, these are human ships." Han Tai stared at her. "That is impossible. The nearest human outpost is weeks away." "I know what I am reading. 53 ships just entered the system. They are broadcasting human identification codes." Commander Kang Hyun, the station's tactical officer, limped over to look at the display. He had taken a blast to the leg but refused to stop working. "She is right. That is the 6th Strike Fleet. I recognize the flagship signature, the Indomitable." Outside the laboratory door, the Vratok warriors began cutting through. The sound of plasma torches filled the air again. Minutes. They had minutes left. But now, there was a chance. A tiny, impossible chance. "Get me a line to those ships," Han-Tai ordered. "Any channel. I do not care if the Vratok hear us." Gia worked frantically. "Broadcasting now. All frequencies. This is Captain Han-Tai of Kepler Station to Human Fleet. We are under attack. 17 survivors trapped in the research center. Vratok forces inside the station. Please respond." Static. More static. Then a voice, calm and professional. "Kepler Station, this is Captain An Minji of the Indomitable. We read you. Hold your position. Marines are inbound. 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Han-Tai looked at the door. The Vratok were halfway through already. "We might not have 12 minutes, he said. "Then hold for 11, Captain An replied. "We did not cross 3 star systems at unsafe speeds to arrive late. Hold the line, Captain. That is an order." The channel stayed open. In the background, Han-Tai could hear activity on the Indomitable's bridge. Orders being given. Systems powering up. Then a different voice came through. Older, full of authority. "Captain Han-Tai, this is Admiral Song Wu. You sent a message into the dark and we heard it. Every ship in the 6th Fleet heard it. Now we are here to collect our people. All of them. Understood?" "Understood, Admiral." Han-Tai felt something he had not felt in days. Hope. "Good man. Now I need you to do something for me. When my Marines come through your station, they are going to be moving fast and hitting hard. Keep your people down and out of the way. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Outstanding. Song out." The laboratory door glowed red. The Vratok were almost through. Park Day checked his rifle. Empty. He drew a knife instead. "Well, we just need to survive 12 minutes. Could be worse. Could be better," someone muttered. The door exploded inward. Vratok warriors rushed through, weapons raised. Han-Tai and his people opened fire with their last ammunition. The first Vratok fell, then the second. Then the guns ran dry. Park Day rushed forward with his knife, stabbing at gaps in the armor. A Vratok warrior backhanded him across the room. He hit the wall hard and did not get up. Dr. Sora grabbed a metal pipe and swung it like a club. It did nothing against the Vratok armor, but she kept swinging anyway. Yun-Nari, a linguist who had volunteered to fight despite having no training, picked up a broken chair leg and drove it into a Vratok's face. The alien screamed and fell back. They were losing, dying, but they were not giving up. Then the Vratok warriors suddenly stopped advancing. They seemed confused, tilting their heads as if listening to something. Commander Hyun, still monitoring the sensors, started laughing. Actually laughing. "Captain, you need to see this. The space battle, it is beautiful." Outside the station, the 6th Strike Fleet had engaged the Vratok ships. But it was not a battle. It was an execution. Admiral Song Wu had not come to negotiate. He came to send a message. The human ships accelerated directly at the Vratok fleet at speeds that seemed suicidal. Fighter squadrons, led by Wing Commander Park Yun, screamed past the larger ships, moving so fast they were almost impossible to track. The Vratok expected a cautious engagement. They got violence. The Indomitable fired its railguns at close range. Tungsten penetrators, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, punched through Vratok shields like they were not there. One Vratok cruiser simply broke apart, its hull unable to withstand the kinetic energy. 3 human cruisers followed the Indomitable, firing in coordinated salvos. Another Vratok ship died. Then another. The Vratok tried to return fire, but the human ships moved with practiced precision, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. They fought like they had done this 1,000 times before, and maybe they had. Wing Commander Yun's fighters strafed the Vratok ships, targeting their engine sections and weapons ports. The small craft were too fast, too maneuverable. Vratok point defense systems could not keep up. Inside Kepler Station, the Vratok warriors received panicked reports from their fleet. Their commanders were screaming orders, but nothing made sense. They were supposed to have the advantage. More ships, better position. How were the humans winning? Park Day, bleeding on the floor, saw the confusion in the aliens' body language. He understood tactics. He knew what it meant. "They are breaking," he said through bloody teeth. "The Vratok are losing the space battle." The laboratory doors had one small window. Han-Tai looked through it and saw Vratok warriors in the corridor backing away, uncertain. Their resolve was cracking. "Communications!" Han-Tai shouted. "Are we still connected to the fleet?" "Yes, Captain," Gia replied. "Get me Captain On." A moment later, the channel opened. "This is On. Go ahead, Kepler." "Captain, the Vratok inside the station are losing their nerve. If you are sending Marines, now would be a very good time." "Marines launched 3 minutes ago. They will breach in 4 minutes. Can you hold?" Han-Tai looked at his people, wounded, exhausted, armed with pipes and knives, but still standing. "Yes, we can hold." The next 4 minutes were the longest of Han-Tai's life. The Vratok warriors did not retreat, but they did not advance either. They seemed to be waiting for orders that never came. In space, the Sixth Fleet continued its assault. The Vratok commander tried to organize a retreat, but human destroyers had circled during the battle. They blocked the escape routes. The trap was complete. Admiral Song's voice came over an open broadcast, translated into Vratok language. "Vratok Fleet, this is Admiral Song Wu of the Human Stellar Navy. You have one chance to surrender. Lower your shields and power down your weapons. Do this now, or we will destroy every ship you have. You have 30 seconds to decide." The Vratok commander looked at his tactical display. 6 of his 12 ships were already destroyed or crippled. The human fleet had lost nothing. Not one ship. He had thought humans were weak, soft creatures who hid behind technology. He was wrong. They were predators who knew exactly how to hunt. 20 seconds. His weapons officer reported multiple human ships targeting his flagship, ready to fire. 10 seconds. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. 0. The Vratok commander lowered his head in defeat. "Cease fire, lower shields, broadcast surrender." On Kepler Station, the Vratok warriors heard the order. For a moment they did not move. Then slowly they lowered their weapons. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the corridors. Not Vratok, human boots, running fast. The Marines hit Kepler Station like a storm, 200 soldiers in powered armor carrying weapons that made the Vratok rifles look like toys. They swept through the corridors in practiced teams, securing the surviving aliens with quick efficiency. The laboratory door opened. A Marine stood there, helmet retracted, grinning. "Captain Han-Tai? I am Sergeant Kim Dury, 2nd Marine Battalion. Sorry we are late. Traffic was terrible." Han-Tai started laughing. He could not help it. After everything, the Marine was making jokes. "Better late than never, Sergeant." "Yes, sir. Now let us get you and your people out of here. This place smells terrible." Medical teams arrived moments later. They treated the wounded with practiced skill, stabilizing Corporal Bin and the others, who were barely hanging on. Captain On's voice came over the communications. "Kepler Station, the situation is secure. All Vratok forces have surrendered. You are safe now. Welcome back to the living, Captain." Han-Tai looked at his survivors. 17 people who refused to give up, refused to die quietly. They had held the line, and humanity had come for them. "Thank you, Captain On," he said. "Thank you all." The battle in space was unlike anything the Vratok had ever experienced. Their commander sat in his flagship, watching the tactical display with growing horror as human ships moved through his formation like predators through a herd. He had 12 warships. The humans had 53, But numbers alone did not explain what was happening. It was the way they fought that confused him. Most species in the galaxy valued caution. They fought carefully, preserving their ships and crews. They maneuvered at safe distances, fired from long range, retreated when damaged. War was expensive. Ships took years to build. Crews needed time to train. Humans fought differently. The Indomitable led the charge, accelerating so fast that its hull glowed from friction with space dust. It should have been impossible. That speed meant the engines were pushed far beyond safe limits. But the humans did not care about safe. Admiral Song Woo stood on his bridge watching the distance close. His crew worked with practiced efficiency, calling out ranges and targets. "Railguns ready, Admiral," his weapons officer reported. "Hold until optimal range," Song said calmly. "Let them see us coming." The Vratok flagship fired first, orange energy beams lancing across space. They hit the Indomitable's shields, which flared but held. The human dreadnought did not slow down, did not change course. It kept coming. "Now," Song said. The Indomitable's railguns fired. 6 tungsten penetrators, each weighing several tons, launched at incredible speed. They crossed the distance in seconds. The Vratok shields were designed for energy weapons. They were very good at dispersing heat and electromagnetic radiation, but solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. The shields barely slowed them down. The penetrators hit the Vratok flagship's hull like hammers. Metal screamed and tore. One shot punched completely through the ship, leaving a hole 3 meters wide. "Target their engines," Song ordered. "I want that flagship crippled, not destroyed. We need prisoners to send a message." 3 more shots. The Vratok flagship's main engines exploded. The ship began tumbling, powerless. Around the Indomitable, 3 heavy cruisers followed their flagship into the Vratok formation. The cruiser, Defiant, commanded by Captain Sung Rina, targeted the nearest enemy ship. Her crew fired a spread of missiles that adapted their flight paths in real time, dodging defensive fire. 2 Vratok ships exploded within minutes. Their commanders did not even have time to transmit damage reports. Wing Commander Park Yoon led her fighter squadrons through the chaos. She flew a light interceptor, fast and deadly. Behind her, 72 other fighters followed in perfect formation. "Red Squadron with me," she transmitted. "Hit their point defense systems. Blue Squadron, engines and weapons. Green Squadron, watch for their fighters if they launch any." The squadrons split up, each pursuing their objectives. Park Yoon's interceptor screamed past a Vratok cruiser at impossible speed, firing bursts from her plasma cannons. The shots were not strong enough to destroy the ship, but they did not need to be. She was targeting the sensor arrays and defensive turrets. One by one, the Vratok ship's defenses went dark. "Blue Squadron, she is all yours," Park Yoon transmitted. Blue Squadron came in low and fast, launching torpedoes at the exposed engines. The Vratok cruiser tried to turn, tried to run, but it was too late. The torpedoes hit, and the ship's power core went critical. It did not explode dramatically. It just went dark, dead in space. The Vratok tried to adapt. Their ship spread out, trying to use the space to their advantage. Their commander ordered his remaining vessels to focus fire on individual human ships, hoping to destroy them one at a time. It did not work. The human ships moved in coordinated groups, never staying still. When one ship's shields weakened, another moved to cover it. They fought like a pack of wolves, protecting each other while tearing apart the enemy. Admiral Song watched the battle unfold with satisfaction. This was human military doctrine. Speed, aggression, overwhelming violence delivered with surgical precision. His crew had trained for years for this exact scenario. They knew what to do. 3 enemy ships attempting to retreat, his tactical officer reported. Song smiled coldly. "Not today. Deploy the destroyers." During the battle, while the Vratok focused on the big ships, 4 human destroyers had quietly circled around the engagement zone. Small, fast ships built for one purpose, blocking escape routes. The Vratok ships tried to activate their faster-than-light drives. The destroyers fired focused electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the necessary fields. The Vratok ships could not jump away. They were trapped. "All ships, cease fire on the retreating vessels," Song ordered. "Let them see what happens next." The Indomitable and its escorts moved toward the trapped Vratok ships. The human vessels did not fire. They just positioned themselves in a perfect blockade formation, weapons trained, but holding. The Vratok commander understood. Surrender or die. Those were the only options. On Kepler Station, the Marines secured every deck. Sergeant Kim Dury led her squad through the corridors. Weapons ready, checking each room. They found the bodies first. 8 humans who had died in the initial attack, their bodies left where they fell. The Marines treated them with respect, calling for recovery teams. Then they found the Vratok warriors. Most had dropped their weapons and stood with their hands raised. Some looked defiant, others looked scared. The Marines secured them efficiently, using restraints, but no unnecessary force. One Vratok tried to fight. He grabbed a weapon and aimed at a Marine. 3 shots dropped him before he could fire. The other Vratok saw this and became very cooperative. Captain Han Tae walked through his station with Sergeant Dury. The damage was extensive. Walls torn open, equipment destroyed, blood on the floors, both red and the greenish fluid the Vratok used. "It will take months to repair this," Han Tae said. "At least you are alive to see it repaired, sir," Dury replied. They reached the medical bay, where Dr. Nam Sora worked alongside human military doctors. Corporal Lee Bin was on a table, unconscious but stable. The military doctors had equipment and supplies that Sora could only dream of. They saved his life easily. "Thank you," Sora said to the military doctors. "Without your help, we would have lost him." "That is why we came," one of them replied. "No one gets left behind." In the communications center, technician Yang Jia finally allowed herself to relax. She had sent that message into the dark, not knowing if anyone would hear it. But they had. They had heard it, and crossed 3 star systems to respond. "How did they get here so fast?" she asked a Marine who was helping restore the systems. "The Admiral pushed the fleet past safe speeds," the Marine explained. "We damaged our engines doing it. But the Admiral said some things are more important than engines, like making sure 47 researchers do not die alone in the dark." Gia felt tears on her face. She did not try to wipe them away. In space, Admiral Song opened a communication channel to the Vratok flagship. The translation took a moment to process, then the Vratok commander appeared on the screen. He looked defeated. "Human Admiral, we surrender. Please stop the killing." "Your ships are already standing down," Song replied. "My question is simple. Why did you attack a research station? Why start a war over an unarmed outpost?" The Vratok commander hesitated. "We detected powerful energy from the moon. Ancient technology. We thought the humans were weak, that we could take it easily. You thought wrong. Yes, we see that now." Song leaned forward. "Let me be very clear about something. That station had 47 human civilians, scientists, engineers, people with no weapons, no warships, no armies, just people trying to learn about the universe. And when you attacked them, we brought 53 warships across 3 star systems to save them. Do you understand what this means?" The Vratok commander did not respond. "It means we protect our own. Always. It does not matter if it is 1 human or 1 million. It does not matter if they are soldiers or scientists. Attack any human anywhere, and we will come for you with everything we have. This is not a threat. It is a promise." The screen went dark. Song turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have secured Kepler Station. All personnel recovered. 17 survivors out of 47. Enemy fleet destroyed or captured. The 6th Fleet is coming home." "Yes, Admiral." Song looked out at the stars. They had won today, but the price was heavy. 30 people dead. Good people who just wanted to study ancient ruins. But 17 survived. 17 people who refused to surrender, who held out against impossible odds. That was worth something. That was worth everything. On Kepler Station, Captain An Minji arrived via shuttle to meet Captain Han Tai in person. She was tall, with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. "Your people fought well, Captain," she said. "My people stayed alive," Han Tai corrected. "Your Marines did the fighting. You held for 7 days with no support. That is fighting in my book." An looked around the damaged station. "The Vratok tried to break you. They failed. That matters." "What happens now?" Han Tai asked. "Now we make sure this never happens again. The Admiral is already in contact with Vratok leadership. There will be consequences, treaties, boundaries. They will think twice before attacking humans again." "And the station?" "Earth Command is sending repair crews, new equipment, and a permanent military garrison. Kepler Station will be rebuilt, stronger than before." Han Tai thought about the 11 people he had lost. The friends who would never see Earth again. "What about them?" he asked quietly, gesturing to where the bodies were being prepared for transport. Captain An's expression softened. "They go home with full honors. Heroes, every one of them. Their families will know what they did, how they held the line when it mattered most." That night, or what passed for night on the station's clock, the survivors gathered in the main corridor. The Marines had set up temporary lighting, and someone found emergency rations to share. Engineer Choi Hana sat with Dr. Kang Yuna, both women exhausted but alive. Lieutenant Park Dae was being treated in medical, but he was conscious and stable. Commander Kang Hyun had his leg bandaged but refused to stay in bed. Admiral Song transmitted a message to the station, his voice coming through the speakers. "Crew of Kepler Station, this is Admiral Song Woo. I want you to know something. When we received your distress call, we were 3 star systems away. The regulations say we should have contacted the nearest outpost and let them respond. But regulations do not account for human nature. Every captain in my fleet volunteered immediately, every crew member. We pushed our engines until they glowed. We risked our ships, and we would do it again in a heartbeat. Because that is what humans do. We take care of our own. Welcome home." The message ended. In the corridor, people sat in silence for a moment. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon everyone was clapping, even the wounded. They had survived. Against all odds, they had survived. And humanity had come for them, just like Captain Han Tai promised. 3 days after the battle, Kepler Station looked like a construction zone. Repair crews worked around the clock, welding new hull plates and replacing destroyed systems. The damage was extensive, but the station would survive. Captain Han Tai stood in the command center, watching the work through the windows. He had not slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the people he had lost. Captain Intelligence Officer Sung Rina found him there. She was from the Defiant, assigned to investigate what happened and why. "Captain Han Tai, do you have a few minutes?" she asked. "Of course." They walked to a small meeting room that the Marines had set up. Inside, a Vratok sat in restraints. The alien looked smaller somehow, less threatening than during the attack. "This is the Vratok commander," Rina explained. "I have been interviewing him. I thought you should hear what he has to say." Han Tai looked at the alien who had tried to kill his crew. "I am listening." The Vratok's translator device made his voice sound flat and mechanical. "Human Captain, I want you to know this was meant to be simple. A quick raid. We detected the energy signature from your quantum relay. We thought we would find an undefended research site, maybe a few scientists with no weapons." "You were wrong," Han Tai said. "Yes, we did not know humans would defend a small station so fiercely. We did not know your military would cross 3 star systems to save 47 people. This is not how other species behave." Rena pulled up a star chart. Tell him about the Galactic Council's reaction. The Vratok shifted uncomfortably. The energy pulse your scientist triggered was visible across 8 star systems. Multiple species detected it. They contacted the Council, asking what happened. When the Council learned that humans sent an entire strike fleet to rescue a research station, they began asking questions about your military capabilities. What kind of questions? Han Tai asked. Questions we should have asked before attacking you. How many ships do humans have? How fast can they mobilize? How far will they go to protect their citizens? The Vratok made a sound like a sigh. We thought we knew the answers. We were very wrong. Rena dismissed the guards and the Vratok prisoner. When they were alone, she turned to Han Tai. The Vratok leadership is frightened, she said. They attacked what they thought was a soft target, and it turned into a disaster. 6 ships destroyed, 5 more crippled, and now they face formal complaints from the Galactic Council. Their economy cannot handle a war with humanity. So what happens now? Peace negotiations. Ambassador Chen Ara is arriving tomorrow to handle the diplomatic side. But between you and me, Captain, the war is already over. We won it in the first hour of battle. Han Tai sat down heavily. 30 people died to win this war. Yes, and 17 lived because of what those 30 did, because you all refused to surrender. The next morning, the memorial service was held in the station's main corridor. The Marines had set up a temporary memorial wall with the names of the fallen written in light. Dr. Nam Sora, Engineer Choi Hana, Lieutenant Park Dae, and the other survivors stood together, wearing their best clothes. Captain Han Tae spoke first, his voice steady despite the grief. We came to Kepler Station to study the past, ancient civilizations, lost technology, the mysteries of the universe. We never expected to fight a war. But when war came to us, we did not run. We did not surrender. We stood together. He paused, looking at the names on the wall. Researcher Kim Bora, Engineer Lee Jae, Technician Park Hwan, Dr. Yu Suki. He read each name slowly, giving them weight. They were not soldiers. They were scientists and engineers, people who wanted to make the universe better through knowledge. But when the moment came, they fought. They gave everything so that others could live. Around the room, people wiped tears from their faces. They will not be forgotten, not by us, not by Earth, not by anyone who hears this story. They held the line, and because of them, humanity showed the galaxy something important. We protect our own, always. The ceremony ended with a minute of silence. Then, one by one, people placed small items on the memorial. Pictures, personal belongings, things to remember the fallen. Dr. Kang Yuna placed her tablet, showing the quantum relay data. We lost the relay, she said quietly. But what we learned from it will advance human science by decades. They died for knowledge. That matters. Later that day, Ambassador Chen Ara arrived on a fast courier ship. She was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She met with Captain Han Tai in his office. The Vratok want to negotiate, she said, getting straight to business. They are offering territorial concessions, trade agreements, and formal apologies. What do they want in return? Han Tai asked. They want guarantees that we will not retaliate further. They want to know the fighting is over. Han Tai thought about this. And what does Earth Command want? Ara smiled slightly. Earth Command wants the Vratok to understand what happens when you attack human civilians. We want boundaries clearly drawn. We want treaties that prevent this from ever happening again. And we want every species in the galaxy to know that Kepler Station was not a lucky victory. It was a demonstration of what humanity can do when properly motivated. So we use this tragedy as a deterrent. We use it as a teaching moment for everyone watching. Ara pulled up diplomatic documents. The negotiations will take weeks, But I need you to tell me something, Captain. What do you want? Han Tai had not expected that question. What I want. You were here. You fought the battle. You lost friends. What do you think is fair? He considered carefully. I want the Vratok to understand what they did. Not just strategically or politically, I want them to understand the human cost. The people who died here had families, dreams, futures. The Vratok took that away over ancient technology and territorial pride. I will make sure they understand, Ara promised. Over the next week, Kepler Station slowly returned to life. The repair crews made good progress. New equipment arrived daily, and the military garrison Admiral Song promised began to arrive. Lieutenant Park Day, recovered enough to walk with a cane, showed the new security troops around. This is where we made our last stand, he said, pointing to the laboratory. 17 of us, armed with whatever we could find. The Vratok thought they had won. They were wrong. The new troops looked at the bullet holes and blast marks with respect. This was history now. A story that would be told in training academies and military schools. The siege of Kepler Station. The day 47 civilians held off a fleet. Dr. Yuna returned to her research, but with new assistants and better equipment. Earth Command wanted to know everything about the precursor civilization. The quantum relay was destroyed, but her data suggested there might be other sites. We will be more careful this time, she told Captain Han Tai, and we will have better protection. Technician Yang Jia was offered a position with military communications. Her quick thinking with the distress signal had saved everyone. You have a gift for finding signals in the noise, the recruiter told her. We could use someone like you. She accepted. After everything that happened, she wanted to make sure that if anyone else ever needed help, their message would get through. 2 weeks after the battle, the Vratok leadership formally contacted Ambassador Ara. The negotiations were broadcast across multiple star systems, letting everyone see what happened. The Vratok representative spoke first, his words translated for multiple species. We acknowledge our mistake. We attacked human civilians without provocation. We caused deaths that cannot be undone. For this, we offer our apologies and our commitment to peace. Ara responded with practiced diplomacy. The human race accepts your apology. But apologies alone are not enough. We require formal treaties establishing clear boundaries. We require compensation for the families of the fallen. And we require assurances that this will never happen again. The terms were harsh but fair. The Vratok accepted them all. Later, in a private communication, the Vratok representative asked Ara a question. Why did you send so many ships for so few people? The cost must have been enormous. The risk to your fleet was significant. Why? Ara's response was simple. Because even one of us is worth everything. The phrase spread. Other species heard it and tried to understand. Some thought it was propaganda. Others thought it was madness. But the species who understood, the ones who valued their own people, they nodded in recognition. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the most advanced or the most numerous. But they were the species that would cross 3 star systems at dangerous speeds to save 47 researchers. That meant something. 1 month after the battle, Kepler Station was officially reopened. Captain Han Tai remained as commander, though he had been offered positions elsewhere. He chose to stay. This is where they died, he told Admiral Song during the ceremony. This is where they held the line. I am not leaving. The new station was stronger than before. Reinforced hull, advanced weapons, a full military garrison, and a memorial in the main corridor that every visitor would see. 30 names written in light, honoring those who refused to surrender. The research continued. Dr. Yuna and her team explored new sites, always protected now, always careful. They made discoveries that changed human understanding of the galaxy. The precursor civilization had left more than just the quantum relay. They had left knowledge, and that knowledge, paid for in blood, would advance humanity for generations. On the anniversary of the battle, Captain Han Te stood alone in the memorial corridor. Behind him, the station hummed with life. Researchers worked in their labs. Engineers maintained the systems. Security teams ran their patrols. Life went on. He touched one of the names on the wall. "We are still here," he said softly. "Still working, still learning, because of what you gave us." Outside the windows, the 6th Strike Fleet patrolled the system. Admiral Song had made good on his promise. Kepler Station would never be alone again. And in the Galactic Council chambers, species that once ignored humanity now paid attention. The attack on Kepler Station had changed the equation. Humans were small, yes. New to the galaxy, yes. But they were also fiercely protective of their own. The lesson was clear. Leave human civilians alone, because if you touched one, you answered to all of them. In his office, Captain Han Te received a message from Earth Command. They wanted him to speak at the military academy to tell future officers what happened on Kepler Station, to explain what it meant to hold the line when everything seemed lost. He agreed. The story needed to be told, not just for humans, but for everyone watching. Because Kepler Station was not just about a battle. It was about what humanity valued, what they would fight for, what they would never surrender. 47 people, one small station. But when the test came, humanity proved something important. They would come for their own. Always. No matter the cost, no matter the distance, no matter the odds. That was the promise. And as the galaxy was learning, humans kept their promises. The station that had been a tomb became a symbol, a reminder that humanity, though young and small by galactic standards, had something older species had forgotten: unity, loyalty, and the absolute refusal to abandon each other. Kepler Station stood as proof, and it would stand forever, a beacon in the dark, showing the galaxy what humanity truly was. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but protectors of knowledge, of peace, and above all, of each other.